Welcome in, listeners. This is the James Kane Experience. Thank you again for those who continuously view in, and thank you for those who may be listening for the first time. This is the 4 o'clock Insights on KCAA Radio 106.5 FM 1050 AM. Also, you can reach me at my YouTube channel, James Bokane Experience, and jamescaneexperience.com. Well, today, one of our co-hosts is not in today, but we do have a part of my inner circle.
The boss.
That's the boss, and she's here to read the Reading for the Blind and to give you some names that we call allyship. Allyship is very important because this is the end of the Black History Month, but not the end of Black history, hopefully. So we're going to do something kind of different. So let me get into just briefly the news and the notes, because the news and the notes is very important right now because we have one of our former presidents that is going to go in front of Congress and his colleagues to be interrogated on the Epstein's file. It gets more interesting. First we have P. Diddy, now we have President Clinton. Mrs. Clinton, I believe, already went in front of her colleagues to express something. They said it's not criminal, but I don't know who goes down to the police station just to go down there and get interrogated by the police. Well, that's some more news for another moment, or check all the local news and it will play that for you. Also, we hear one of the richest men in the world. Now, this blew me away when I understand Bill Gates confessed to an affair with 2 Russian women. And I believe that he's over what they say now. The FDA has let clone meat into your markets. That's been going on for some time now, and I know he's the head of certain companies that deal with cloning or artificial meat that's not farm raised or that has anything to do with real meat. So, fun fact is, why he couldn't just clone 2 women rather than having an affair and being caught in helicopters with Epstein. Well, Epstein, I do not know who Epstein is, but all I know is every day I turn on my radio, podcast, TV, his name is mentioned. So he must have been part of the elite, and now the elite is running away from someone who was their friend. But if it was just me and you, I wonder where we will be and what will happen to us. And that's why I wanted to speak about allyship. Well, allyship. First, I want to begin by, please do not get it misunderstood. Black Americans have always been the architect of their freedom. And also, they have no savior, no handouts. But history shows, and when you threaten the structure of, we'll say, white supremacists, or we can call it the system, not only blacks will be punished, but others will be too. Now, a lot of people back in history gave up the struggle for equality for all citizens. So we'll use minorities. Mainly, this time we'll say Black Americans because we understand the slavery now into today. But that's why I wanted to speak to you today about how this system still applies to us today, is because we always say, well, it's different times, but is it different times or is it just a different way of doing things? So let's go with three of them. Three of them are, or three organizations that use certain disguises to keep the system going is corporate America or corporations, period, academia, and politics. We're going to start with corporation, the illusion of progress. Well, remember when there was a big outroar about DEI? Now, DEI was put in place for we don't know. Because I believe that when there's a national outcry of something's wrong, then the corporation takes that and put it in a message or use DEI rights in their or in their mission statement to say, okay, we're doing something. But in this DEI officers, when they're hired, they get less wages. I wonder who that is. These less wages are not equal. So DEI and wages doesn't go with what they're trying to say it stands for. Now, DEI, well, let's look at what changes in DEI. What, nothing. Because corporations still keep their executive people in power that look like themselves. And sometimes you have to wonder, is it really power, or are they sending the message that we are just going to have performance without consequence? Sadly to say, it doesn't really do anything for DI. I guess that's why it was taken away, because it's just an illusion of progress in these corporations that we hold these jobs in. So why do these officer of DI get less play if it's created to give them a job? Is it created just to say they did something? Now, let's go into politics. No, let me go back because I want to go to academia. Academia does a lot. They go after people of, or minorities, or black Americans. And what they do is they put these DEI programs. They have good speeches that are courted rhetoric. They put some black professors, and but they don't give them a tenure. So all these things that universities do, they recruit back students and put them in their brochures. But they underfund black studies. They don't hire enough black faculty. And their black research, they do a little in black research, but the diversity is welcome, but ownership is not. So where are we going with this ownership? And what do we get out of these universities? Now, I'm not saying that universities are not important. Education is important. But how many people are looking at when you pay all these hundreds and thousands of dollars, you get all these loans, you put yourself in debt. Where are you going? What do you really get out of it? We're talking about the masses. We're not talking about a 5 or 10%. Because I think that there's not even 10%. Because now if this 10% start really looking at things, there's no university executives or how many universities even have black presidents? How many universities where their alumni is ran by any blacks. But I guess sometimes we think we're getting somewhere when it's all just illusion.
I would like to add on to the academia part because I've noticed in like Ivy League schools, there's only like 5% to 9% of blacks being able to go to Ivy League schools. And that's kind of astonishing because the first person to go to Stanford, I believe, was black. And a lot of black people were the first ones to go to these Ivy League schools and really make them known. So why are the Ivy League schools keeping the blacks out and only accepting other races?
I guess, baby, when they took out affirmative action, they said we wasn't qualified or we were getting in, but we were underqualified. And that stops other people that are more qualified. But what you just spoke of is there's a system. And the reason why that system is because we're going to let who we want let in. Now they call it gatekeepers. So whoever these gatekeepers is, then we understand, like we was talking about corporations. Now, the universities are part of corporate America as well, or corporations, period, because we know they get a lot of their labor force in certain parts of corporate out of the United States because the laws are different. And they can go to other countries and use cheap labor, but we can't say child labor because there's child labor laws in America. But we know there's a bunch of different shoes, clothing, and that's why our president put a tariff. Now we think of tariff. I remember when everybody was in the uproar, a tariff. But we go back to some of our people in history where Alexander Hamilton was one of the first to use the tariff. And he used the tax. Here we are today. It seems like for them at that time, it didn't work out for the common people, as they call it, or we will say poor people, but the elite, it worked very well for. Is because that was in what, the 1800s? Here we are in 2026, and the tariff is still being mentioned. But how much more money have you gained in the last year? What has tariffs? What has anything that they speak of today in the news helped you get to where you need to be today? Because that's what it's about. It's about the people who's out there working every day, trying to make a living. And we have these organizations that when we see that something is not right, we're just working, but we're not going nowhere. Maybe it's like I always say, it's our teachings and what people taught us. So now we need someone to start talking about change. Get out of what we've been doing in the past. Take what's working and has been working and what's not working, and let's throw it away. Because it's a shame that 9%. But how we can see that it really is a shame or it hurts when we take an overall pie and see what is the percentage of that pie. Because that pie is 100% of what? And if it's only 9%, that means 89% of something is going to be your boss. It's going to tell you what DEI is and what it means to them and to you. So the next time there's a national outcry in corporation and academia, maybe we need more people to stand up. Allyship needs to be the cream of the crop because when people stand together, we see there's change, or at least there's talk about change. And that's what we ask for. First, it has to be a conversation. Secondly, it has to be some substance. So now let's look into what politics. We always talk about voting, but that's what they do for well, for the black Americans, which I can speak for, or I can speak because of my experience is this. They come out when it's time to get elected. They put on things, which I took this very like embarrassing. In the last election, they brought out tennis shoes. Now, I don't know no one who believes that in the black culture, tennis shoes really matter. Tennis shoes don't matter. Just because we like Nikes and things of that nature, sometimes they take what our community has and enjoys at a small level and make it seem it's about everyone else when it's not. And because that's an illusion that's what we want. We do not want structure. We just want performance. And they come to us and they quote us rhetorically with words. They give us words, but what is the appearance that we're looking for? What is our cause that we're looking for? And if you know your cause and your cause is not something of progress, is it really a cause? Now you're abandoned legislatively. What in the legislature have that they gave you in the past election? Nothing. Your vote so far means because it's all rhetoric. There's crimes being committed. They're running around talking about this Epstein files, but when are there going to be any arrests? There's none. There's no arrest. We just did all this with P. Diddy. We wasted all the taxpayer money. We only talked about what he did to his ex or his employees, which was a tragedy, but he only got 4 years. Who goes in, first of all, who get raided by the FBI, get all your stuff seized, and you go in front of all these people in this court, and the only thing really that's sad that's hurt this man is his character. Because in 4 years, if this man was a billionaire, how much money did he lose, really? But who really lost? Because his money is not part of the black economy. So the black economy is what we need to be talking about for our future and for the future of our kids. Because without the economy, you have nothing. You have integrated to nothingness. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot among you out there who don't want to see their kids and their grandkids with nothing. It's because what does nothing accomplish? Nothing. So when it's time for voting and for our rights, let's again find a cause, stand by that cause, and look for those who want to be behind it. And I'm not just speaking to black people, I'm also speaking to non-blacks. We need allyship. But our allyship needs to be, today, something of essence, of importance. Because back then in history, they gave their lives up. The white abolitionists gave their lives up for their cause and to equal citizenship, equal rights. But today, I just named 3 corporations and everything is performance based, but it's career strategy. There's no substance there. It's just appearance. Nothing that you can hold on to and nothing that you can give your kids and tell them this is progress. Because they're going to give you, like they give us every year, they're going to give us a Martin Luther King speech or wear something of a black American attire. That's what I was speaking on about tennis shoes. They give you tennis shoes. But in the legislature, all these things that we need to keep our community safe, that means give the police more money. But the police and black citizens have this, some, I won't say all, majority police are wonderful. Let me get that straight. But some that hold on to that system and that system of power, sometimes it corrupts. And it makes them do things that we we should stand up for. But I understand that some people don't want to be part of allyship. But there's four names that I just want to give a little homage to them for their courage, their understanding of progress in our community that we call the United States of America. And daughter, could you tell me what those names are?
John Brown, who lost his life.
Now, John Brown lost his life. This man was 60 years old, white hair everywhere, and he would not give up his cause. His family, everything was obliterated because he believed in equality. This man should be mentioned in Black History Month, Black History books, is because just because he was white, he wasn't a part of the system.
The next one is Viola Luzo, right?
Zulu. Yes, I think I can't say it right either, but
She was murdered.
now not killed but murdered. This woman, I know she was fighting for not only Black American rights, minority rights, but she was also probably fighting for women because at this time women were not equal themselves. So equality was something that a lot of people were fighting for because we all needed something together. It wasn't partial. What's the next one?
James Reed,
Now,
he was beaten to death.
now James Reed was he was black, and he was with two other white abolitionists, and he needed to fight for the cause. And it's just sad to think how all these people lost their lives today in what we call allyship, when today it's basically a strategy or a performance. It's because back then they gave their life up. Today they just give words. Next.
Heather Heyer, who was killed in modern America.
Now, the reason why we wanted to give her credit, not only did she give her life up for equality of all citizens, she gave her life up in modern times. So we're not just going back to slavery, we're going to what's happening in our century. What we can hold on today when you speak up or speak out and threaten the system because your words are important is because we need each other to win this battle on progress and citizenship. I know a lot of the Hispanics is just looking at ICE, but that's just a part of the struggle. Maybe if we attack the struggle, the heart of or the nucleus of it, then we all can solve our problems and we all can help one another and we can grow. But I doubt if I see it in my lifetime. But it's great to speak about it, talk about it. Now let's do something about it and get these structures and these allies back aligned. And let's do something rather than just let our politicians keep giving us this rhetoric, this speeches, a lack of structure that is polished. Well,
I have a positive connotation. So, like, for historically black
historical.
black colleges and universities,
HBCUs.
around 72% to 76% are black students. And even though very few black people attend all of U.S. colleges, HBCUs educate 10% of that.
That's success. That means they're putting out skilled, educated young men and women. So if you have a corporation, some of you corporations do hire. Go to HBCUs. You're going to have great employees. Great employees. Because if we look back over time and we look now, once you get some black employees, building, construction, what is the other one?
Law.
Yeah, we can't go without law. Now that's where we need to get more into law.
I looked it up and it said law is one of the things that AI won't take over because no one can do that. Even if you're like AI, using AI, you can use AI for data and other stuff, but you can't do work fully as an AI. You need a human to do that, to be a law.
Yeah, because do you want AI? Now that's great, daughter. You brought that up. That's wonderful. Do you want AI to go into court for you? And then you put all your information in there, and then they have the rebuttal with AI, and then they punch it in, and then the next argument, AI.
It starts to just act up and then they say it and then they lose the whole case and you lost your money.
You more than lost your money, you don't lost your freedom to a computer that has glitches. Just think when the Wi-Fi go out, or it pauses, or it makes a mistake, because humans have flaws. So why do we don't think that computers and robots have them as well?
There's this trend going on YouTube and TikTok, and it's where people like cheat in college, not even high school or middle school or elementary, but in college with AI, and they're going to these big school like nurses institutions, trying to be a doctor, vets, even law, and they're using AI to pass their tests and stuff. And it's like, how can we trust you with our stuff if you're using AI and you don't even have the mental capacity to do it yourself? How can we trust you if you're using AI to do all this stuff and you don't even know what you're learning?
Well, that's a good question that on a later day we can answer, because sort of we're moving away from allyship. So maybe we can use AI to start motivating people to stand up and stand together and have more structure rather than just opinion. And the reason why I brought this today is because my daughter, her colleague said, why do we need Black History Month when it's just American History Month? Now, I'm still reading a book, Howard Zinn, and it was talking about America and how it was formed. Some of that is the same history we're talking about today. If you read that book by Howard Zinn, you'll understand what I just said is prevalent in the past and today. So, to the person who said American history, Black history is American history. And if you go back, that's one thing no one can take away from the Black American is his contributions to the United States of America. He needs to keep his head up high and stop letting others put him down, because this foundation of greatness was built on a lot of Black Americans, black and tall, and they gave up grandparents, kids, identity, life to make this country what it is today, a great country. And I know all of us love being here because sunny Southern California looks great right now. I can't wait to get out, go home with my family, have some probably barbecue or something. Yeah, you got to barbecue yourself. It's not too many great places that you can get real barbecue like they say in the old school. Well, we'll take a quick break and come back with the reading for the blind. But thank you again for listening to the James Kane Experience, KCAA Radio 106.5, 1050 AM. Well, thank you for staying tuned into our show today. But before we move in for the reading of the blind, now the reading of the blind is for the young people to read to their parents, their elders, and the elders can read to the young or just spend time together. As I say, I'm going to go home with my family because I know all week the hustle and bustle of life and trying to make a living. So I'm gonna spend time with my family. So hopefully you will do the same. If it's today, tomorrow, or whatever day you choose through the week, spend some time and come together. And we promote reading a book because books takes energy. It takes effort. And that's what we need today. We need more effort rather than rhetoric. My daughter wants to talk a little bit more about DEI and what it stands for.
DEI stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It's an organizational framework designed to promote fair treatment and participation of all people. They also embrace backgrounds, like different backgrounds such as race, gender, age, ability, just trying to have a sense of belonging in the world when people don't think that they belong, trying to encourage others.
Now, in those three corporations, academia, and politics, she just described people that feel, that word feel, they don't belong. Why should that even be in something that someone has to stand up for? Because are you a citizen? Do you belong? That's something you need to think about. You belong. So someone is telling you you don't even belong here. You need to pack your bags and go somewhere else that you've been living and your families on generations on generations on generations. We'll just say in the past 100 years. Let me ask you, where you going? Because if you go somewhere else, they're gonna tell you, oh no, 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 you're not from here. You're not from here. And if you don't think I'm telling you the truth, go somewhere else, and you'll see what I'm telling you. DEI was given. That's why it's been taken away because it never really was for the people that belong here. It's for the elitists and it's for the system because it was an illusion of progress. It was just something to say we're doing something while we're all sitting in the background knowing we're not doing nothing. There was no performance. Well, there was performance, but there was no structure. There was nothing there that people who had that job, they didn't have no power. They know they didn't have no power, but it was a good job. A lot of people that lost their jobs is sad because they got homes and they got children they're taking care of, all these things. But it's sad to say that this is something you was given because people feel you don't belong. Sad to say. So, daughter, let's get into the reading of the blind. And lastly, let's just say thank every non-black, mainly white, that gave their life, their careers, their time, and their minds and education for the struggle of American citizenship, equality, and fairness. Thank you.
Okay. Proverbs 31:8-9. Open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth. Judge righteously and plead the cause of the poor and needy.
Now, what we was talking about today, allyship. Now, this is supposed to be a Christian nation, and this is a scripture out of the Bible. And it's telling you, don't be dumb. You're supposed to support allyship, support a unjust cause. Your God is speaking to you. Can you hear him today, tomorrow? Or are your scriptures falling on deaf ears?
Micah 6:8. He hath shewed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God.
To walk humbly with your anointed, or who anointed you. Because we do have scriptures where God said he made man in the image of God. So if you're in that image, mercy is upon you and those who are all around you. May you find mercy in your heart today to change your hiring practices. Just because how someone looks, that don't mean they can't do a good job. That don't mean they can't have a skill that can make your job or your, I wouldn't say job, I would say business. Sorry about that. Business grow and better. And maybe you'll get more people that will finance your business that don't look like you. But if you choose not to, then may your God have mercy upon you.
Galatians 6:2. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ.
The burdens of others, as we see that your Savior, Christ, the anointed, is he bared a lot of our sins. Well, all our sins, as we taught. And that was heavy. When we look back on that tragedy and things that he had to endure so we can be saved or obtain salvation, what are you going to do to be in allyship with your anointed? Are you the anointed one today? Because allyship starts in your church. Allyship starts in your community. And allyship starts in your legislator because they're going to ask you for your vote. So what are you going to vote for? You're going to vote for the God who tells you to have mercy, or you're going to vote for the God who tells you deception and allyship will not be tolerated, because God means something you worship also. Who do you worship today?
Matthew 22:39. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
That's the most hardest one for us to do here in America, is love your neighbor as yourself. So who is your neighbor? Is that why certain people can move in your community and then either you move out or you don't like them or we don't want them kind around here? Is that loving your neighbor? Or is your love, because in Greek they have so many different meanings of love. And that's why people can say, oh, I can love you, but I'm not in love with you. And that's why I say the best thing about love is one of its aspects, one of its function is caring. And you can care without loving somebody. That can be charity. But charity is a form of love too. So we can see it that way or we can see it another way. But also, do you really honor your neighbor? Because if there's no love there, what are we really trying to do? So tomorrow when you fill that church up, that one commandment or that one request, can you say you really loving your neighbor beyond your gathering or your church?
I think love is a concept different for everyone, different for people. Love can be anything you want it to be.
Well, decisions. when people make a decision or a definition, because when we use words, words have a definition. It's a language, so we can all understand each other. So when we start using our language and the definitions and switching them up, then we don't understand each other. And I agree with you. That's probably why so many people are not diverse or are diverse. And diversity is not a bad thing, but when it's used to push certain people or make people feel they don't belong, then it can be bad. So I don't think love should be a multitude of different definitions or okay, love is one thing to me and then because when you use the word and you say love, you don't say, well, I love you for. Because they say there's love out there that's unconditional. And I ask people where that at? Because in my lifetime, in my experience, there's always a condition to whatever someone strives to have, to be, or to speak.
Isaiah 117. Learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow.
That sums up everything we spoke about today is align yourself with positivity. Align yourself with causes that makes a difference in not just someone, but if we can't get everyone, let's say majority. Let's stop letting things that we know is not right affect majority of the people and only let the gatekeepers let in who they choose to get in. Because as we seen today or tomorrow or in the past, progress is being defined by words, rhetoric, lex structure.
Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are one all in Jesus Christ.
Now, that speaks out to all the religious people, or some people get mad when you say religious, but that speaks to all the people out there that do believe in the Bible. Be one, because your Creator is looking at you as one. And once we look around America, isn't that what we fight for? Because when our military goes out and you see that USA on anything, we all stand together as one. That's our goal, is to be one and to be a better nation is because we're the biggest, the proudest. But some things we do doesn't doesn't look like we should be that. We have a lot of things that we need to just not just talk about. It's things that we need a restructure, as I call it. We need to regroup and we need to refocus on what we have left in America, because a house divided can't stand. And if we keep division going, I don't care who is the leaders, they also will perish. Everyone perishes. But that system that's been designed, it's strong. And don't believe it's not, because it's there to strangle who it strangles. But it's alive to those it's alive for. And it's a machine. And it's going to continue to move like a machine. No matter if it's AI, no matter if it's NASA, no matter what it is, your nearest Ivy League college, whatever it is, that system is an engine and it's moving for my children, your children, my grandkids, your grandkids, and grandkids and grandkids, generations upon generations. So people that's out there, Let's make change, structure, believe in progress because America is great. And as they say, let's make America great again. And that one thing that we had that we can say we be together as one is allyship. Don't just give rhetoric, give little life. Thank you, and we're going to end here. What my normal ending. Daughter, have you have anything else you want to conclude on before I end this?
No.
Remember, if your life is not going right, restructure, regroup, refocus on what you have left. On what you have left. Thank you for tuning in to KCAA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, and we'll see you next Saturday, 4 to 5. Thank you again, and this has been the James Kane Experience.
We supply the words. You paint the picture. KCAA.
No, we're not talking about Bruno.